Disco Doctor here with my latest review. If you've seen the intro, you'll know what's coming. So let's get it open. Here we have the ERTL Thomas Santa set released for Christmas 2001 during the Ghislaine era of Thomas and Friends, right before Hit Entertainment took over. And you have a classic ERTL Thomas with a Santa hat. And you've got Scruffy, who now has Toy Box written on his sides, and he's got a wagon load of presents on the top. Just going to have a little look at Thomas now. Again, he is a basic ERTL Thomas, just with a Santa hat. I don't think it's removable, and I don't really want to try. I think the only thing they could have done differently with this one was to maybe add some dusting of snow or a holly or a wreath like some of the Thomas Wooden and take-along models. But again, the Santa hat is a lovely touch. You've then got the Toy Box Scruffy. He's seen the error of his ways as a villain and has now become a bearer of gifts with his presents on top here. It is different from the normal Scruffy, as it does have a wagon load, which the original didn't have. And they do make a rather nice pair, and I think they complement each other perfectly. This set did receive a normal carded release, but its main release in the UK was through Chad Valley, a toy manufacturer which was once owned by Woolworths, a retailer which had many stores throughout the UK until the early 2000s. And as you can see, the packaging is quite different from the carded version released by ERTL, and I think it's one of the only times that an ERTL Thomas product was released without the ERTL branding. It might be the only time. As you can see on the packaging, there is no reference to ERTL. I think the only obscure reference is on the underside where there's a reference to Racing Champions. But if you were just in the shops, you might not even assume this was an ERTL product if you weren't familiar with the trains, of course. Chad Valley did release several more Thomas ERTL items, including a larger set which included some engines and a VHS or video. They also re-released the 2001 Christmas set for 2002 in a cracker-style format. But you might notice these items now have the Hit Entertainment logo, as the brand had already been taken over by this point. I think this really does represent a unique period in Thomas and Friends history, as by 2002 the ERTL brand was on its way out. It had already been discontinued in America, and it would cease to be in the UK by 2004 as well. And it's not a surprise they were partnering with other companies like Chad Valley to sell the sets. And the fact that a VHS is included in the larger set is also an indication of the time period, as VHSs were also in rapid decline and they'd be gone by the mid-2000s as well. I believe this was exclusively released by Woolworths, as they own Chad Valley, and there is a reference to them in the packaging. Woolworths have also disappeared now, and they closed down in the UK in late 2008 and early 2009. They are still active in other countries like Germany, and there is always talk of them returning to the UK high street, so you'll just have to watch this space. On a side note, Chad Valley is now owned by the UK supermarket Sainsbury's, and they have not released another Thomas and Friends product since the ERTL era. Here is a comparison between the original Thomas and the Santa Thomas. Very little difference between the two besides the hat. Even the face is identical. And this is what I mentioned earlier. The model really would have been enhanced by a light dusting of snow or a holly or a wreath to make it stand out more compared to the original model. But I just wanted to show you both. These two are a little different. You've got the normal Scruffy or SC Ruffy and the Toy Box Scruffy, with the main difference being the load of presents on the top here. The original Scruffy was always empty. He never came with anything, unlike the troublesome trucks which came with a coal load. And the curved font spelling out Toy Box also makes a nice contrast to the straight letters of SC Ruffy. Thank you for watching, Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.